Welcome to the Business Spotlight. Today, I'm joined by Chris McCracken, Commercial Director of Advo. Advo is an award-winning business dedicated to help SMEs thrive with expert advice on HR and payroll solutions. And it's all designed to help free up your time and let you as a business owner focus on what matters most. Great to have you, Chris. Very welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Alida. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So let's get started. First question. How did you start out? What's the journey been like up to this point?
Okay, that's a good question. I think the theme of today is going to be one of reinvention, because I started off in sales. I was in financial services many years ago, life and pensions and that sort of thing. And that environment taught me how to be irrespective in terms of sales, how to set a target and see it through. And it was surprisingly, how can I say, mind over matter, I think would be perhaps the phrase that springs to mind. So I did that for quite a few years, and then I met a colleague, Colin, who was a medical insurance guru. So together we set up a business called Excellent Health, and we found new clients for medical insurance in the City of London, law firms and small corporate clients. Yeah, so then eventually we merged. In 2008, we merged with Advo Group, which is a Kent-based medical insurance broker. We had some really cool clients, and they had some really cool software. So we thought it was a good match, and we've been in business since then. Yeah, and the journey from 2008 has been an interesting one, because we were selling principally medical insurance, and post-pandemic, things became pretty tricky. So we sold that book, made quite a good return on that, and with the proceeds, we bought a elegant country house, which you can see behind me, which is called Cobdown House. It's in Aylesford in Kent, and we're redeveloping that as a business hub and entertainment space. It's surrounded by parkland and quite a beautiful location. And in July, we started again. We reinvented ourselves as HR and payroll experts. We already were doing that beforehand, but that became our core focus. And we have an IT aspect to what we're doing as well. So yeah, constantly renewing and reinventing and learning and changing, I think, is something that I've experienced a lot.
Wow, brilliant. And Chris, what is the business all about at this new reinvention phase you're in?
Okay, well, I suppose there are many competitors out there. I go to networking meetings, and they say, "What do you do?" And I say HR and payroll. They say, "Oh, not another one." So there are many people who do this sort of thing out there. But I suppose the main thing that we like to think of as being valuable for our clients is that we're not too big and we're not too small. We're neither a product producer nor a one-man band just offering advice. So we've always sought to bring together product, which nowadays means technology, to a large extent, with advice. So you have the people and you have the product. You have the technology, which we've developed ourselves, and you have real human beings, empathic people who will get to understand your business and sit with you. In fact, I like to say that we're kind of, people talk about outsourcing, say outsourced PR, outsourced HR, and I like to think we're actually centralized. So we're actually, as though we're in your business, we're just not visible, and we're not actually physically there, but we're with you there on your journey, and we're that part of your business that can solve those headaches and let you be free to focus on what you really want to do.
And throughout your career, what's been the biggest lessons you've learned?
Well, I think reinvention. I mean, I'm a professional conductor as well, and it's interesting because, and also timelessness. I like to think that you try again, you amend your plan, you go with how things flow and how time changes and times and expectations change. So you're constantly really, how can I say, adapting. You have to constantly adapt, constantly be ready to try new things, and constantly be ready to start again and be fresh. So it's a kind of, I think one of your previous speakers talked about a 100-year plan. And I rather like that because I think, yeah, absolutely, things can go on and on and on. And every time you restart and you reinvent, you begin again. It's like a youthful beginning, but then you have the experience as well that underpins it. Yeah.
I love that. What were the biggest mistake you've made, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I think that would come under the heading of delegation. All businesses, as they grow, eventually you don't want to do it all yourself, and you want to be able to manage other people doing what you used to do. And it's vital that you delegate in the right way to someone who really understands your vision and focus and purpose and priorities, and is basically like by your side in terms of approach. I think a lot of businesses have suffered by delegating and then finding it's gone down a different path, and that's not been what was expected. So that's a challenge. I mean, in terms of our experience, our biggest challenge really was post-pandemic. Because ironically, our biggest strength was also a weakness, or vice versa, depending how you look at it. We always wanted to focus on the customer service. And I think back in the day, used to be, when I was a salesperson, the argument was, well, I'm selling, but I'm providing a service. I'm not like those other ones who just sell and then forget about their clients. So I like to look after the clients. And that was the theme all along then, when we founded the medical insurance and so forth. It was about looking after the customer, looking after the client. And we prided ourselves so much on that we almost, especially post-pandemic, we were being so good to our clients. We had all the infrastructure to offer them this, that, and the other, and support in all kinds of ways. But we were also being threatened by much bigger fish who could command higher commission rates from the insurers, and who had big pockets and could poach our staff. And we often were training people to the highest standard, believing in the sort of morality of our cause, and then these people would get poached. So it became rather difficult. And ironically, at the last time we had the trade awards, we won more awards than anybody else. We had awards for best small business, best technology, best individual, best case studies, best client service, all kinds of stuff like that. And people thought we were amazing and very desirable, but of course they didn't know that financially we were beginning to struggle. So when we put the book up for sale, we got a huge response because of the reputation. So in a way, what was difficult and our ideals in a way paid off in the end, because we were seen to be, I think the people that bought us wanted to be able to say, look, we've got these guys, we've got their things that they're known for, and we can carry on with that. So now with the new business, we're much leaner. We're a little bit less idealistic, because in the past it was more like, okay, we have to provide good client service and also look after our staff and be very sort of forgiving of situations, and that can become too much sometimes, and you lose the sense of tightness of purpose and the commercial aspect of it. And now I would say we've learned from that, and we're much leaner, much tighter, much more focused. We have a more sense of values, and I think that trickles down into the the whole organization. The people sort of feel that they're part of something that's moving forward, and if they're not going to be in that mindset, they would take themselves away rather than us having to fight. So that's been a big learning, I think, how to be good and kind and nice, which is what human resources are all about on one level, but at the same time, our job is to help our clients be commercial, make difficult decisions, not persist with something that's painful because they're afraid to, or because they're trying to be too nice for too long and then losing money. So, I think, human resources with a commercial slant, very much in mind. And what I would also say is that some of our competitors, they might give the argument that HR, there's so much regulation, there's so many things that you have to get right in terms of your policies, procedures, handbooks, whatever it is that has to be demonstrated to have been put in place as a duty of care. And clients are like facing this rabbit hole of endless compliance. And I think sometimes that's milked a little bit, because that, of course, provides fees and more attention from the provider. But we try to say, look, let's keep this simple. You have a simple solution, but the way to resolve it is for us to really know the background, really know your staff, what was the history, what is that staff member's personal circumstances? Because when you enact what you have to do in the right way to get the result you want, which is good for the employer and good for yourselves, you have to demonstrate that you really understand the person and their background, and you've taken everything into account. And so we write letters for people, we provide guidance for people, we do it for them, and we write scripts for them. And it's more simple. So just follow these steps and you'll be fine. And so we've never lost a tribunal, for example. And we try to make it simple, because the law can be very, very daunting, I think.
And absolutely complex. That's wonderful. So what do you think the impact of the 2025 economic calendar year is going to have on your industry, on your business, on on our area? What do you see for the future?
Yes, that's a good question. Well, everybody's talking about AI, and in a way, there's a kind of scramble to sort of be the most cutting edge, to be ahead of a fast receding curve of development. And I think we are trying to keep it simple and automate where possible, but not really get dragged too much down that rabbit hole. I mean, I think, as I say, the person-to-person contact is what people want. And in fact, the more automation there is and the more technology develops, the more people still crave understanding, because HR is based on humans. I mean, it's not black and white. A template might be produced by AI which says do this, do that based on this legislation, but there will be shades of gray. And if you don't take those into account in your correspondence or in your paper trail or whatever, then it can be seen through. You said you just copied and pasted that, didn't you? And you may fall through a hole. So so the challenge is to keep lean and keep efficient. And I mean, ideally, if we could bring everything together into one technology kind of portal, this is what we're actually seeking to do, because we've created our own payroll software and our own absence management software, and the two link together. So that means the job of the client in producing the data for payroll is reduced. But there are more and more aspects whereby we want to draw client data into a sort of central hub and have different spokes of a wheel, if you like, going out using that data to collate information for payroll, collate information for absence management, for HR, aspects of HR that can be kind of dovetailed with some of those. So we're developing that. Does that answer your question?
It does. It's a great answer there. Thank you. What's the biggest advice you would give to someone just starting out?
Well, you have to have your vision, burnish your vision, I would say. And I think, it's all about the imagination. We work with our imaginations. I know a lot of people talk about, you need this knowledge and that knowledge and all the rest of it, various sort of learning books. But I think, first and foremost, you have to have a really, really clear idea of what you want to do. And in a way, you have to reimagine that all the time I would suggest to spend some time each day not doing the detail. You know, begin your day with your vision, with your plan, with your what you want to see happen, and focus on that. And then, of course, the detail, you attend to that afterwards. So yeah, I'd say keep what's the word? Keep envisaging, keep imagining, keep seeing what you want. And I think by doing that, then eventually what you've pre-imagined then sort of drops down into reality.
Yeah, I absolutely agree on that. Great answer there. Quick questions. What's the key of success to you?
Well, you've got to feel good. It's not really about money, but I suppose that comes as a byproduct, but it's feeling, yeah, I'm doing this, is working. You know, I suppose the people, maybe, giving our people a sense that the more they grow, the more they do, you know, we give them more to do, more training, more, what's the word, validation, I suppose, is validating our people. I think that's really nice. It's almost nicer than being successful, kind of conceptually, is giving new people opportunities to feel valued and able to progress.
Beautiful. I love it. If you could magically improve one area in the business tomorrow, what would it be?
Well, we'd have no bugs in our system. We'd never raise tickets. Everything would be connected and interrelated and wonderful. People could just, you know, whenever you logged on, nothing would ever crash. Just be perfect.
Yeah, IT, we love it.
We do everything.
Yeah, excellent. What inspires you, Chris, or what is inspiring to you at the moment?
Well, I think trying to find one's personal best strengths, really, and working on those. And I mean, I've been doing this for only a few months, this particular role. I'm not the expert myself in HR and payroll. Other people do that. So I occasionally conduct operas and symphonies, only occasionally. So that is a kind of passion that inspires me to self-improve, if you like. And also this work, this sort of, I don't know, networking, talking. In a way, I'm kind of practicing burnishing my own vision all the time. I'm trying to get a clearer and clearer picture of where we can go. And yeah, that's inspiring. That's inspiring. The thought of possibility, you know, what can we do with this house? You know, we'll have events, we'll have seminars, we can have businesses hiring up for various things. We can showcase ourselves. We can host Kent Invicta Chamber, maybe. That's one thing. Then there's the system. Once we finish creating our kind of spokes of the wheel, maybe we can license that and sell that as a separate entity. And I think when people find how we work, because I mean, our HR and payroll director, Alison, she's absolute gem, and the manager below, Jenny, she's also all the guys here, they're super lovely people. They're really well qualified and they're so good. And I think once we get a client, we don't lose them because they're like, oh my God, you guys care, you know, you understand what you're doing. And that's got to be, you know, if you're selling an app and the app is super slick, well, I guess they're pretty efficient and you probably don't need any staff to worry about with payroll and HR. But in our case, yeah, a small group of people who are really focused and feel valued. Yeah.
Excellent answer. Best book you've read or best piece of advice you've ever received that you can pass along?
Advice.
Or both, if you have both.
Well, I thought about that. So yeah, I'm going to mention two books. I mean, the first, it's a bit cheesy perhaps, but I think The Secret was a good starting point. I'm sure everybody's read The Secret, you know, this idea of what you foresee, what you imagine you can bring into you can bring it into reality. But let me say perhaps a more advanced version of that is called Becoming Supernatural. It's by a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's absolutely fabulous series of accounts of people who apply their mind and their thinking in certain ways, and by so doing, their attention is diverted, or their attention is shifted, and things shift as a result. And I mean, it's been, the article in The Guardian the other day saying, the new religion is a manifestation and it's just a hocus pocus because people have got no religion and they've got no community. And it was a very negative article. But I thought, well, I've been doing this all my life. I've been thinking about things, wondering about them, anticipating them, and they have come into being. And that's, if I hadn't been thinking about them, then they wouldn't have. So how can it not be true that our thoughts create things? It has to be true, because everything we do is our own thoughts and our own choices. So becoming supernatural, absolutely amazing. It makes you believe everything's possible, and it is.
Yeah. Oh, I get goosebumps. I love it. Great answer there. Thanks, Chris. Anything you'd like to share? Any latest news? Anything in the pipeline, or you'd like people to know about?
We have an article coming out in Thinking Business magazine in, I think, a week's time, which talks about our new beginning as a HR and payroll advisory. We are a medium-sized company, so we look after medium-sized companies. We know their situations. We've been there ourselves. We sit side by side with them, and these are our perfect clients.
These answers and what you've shared has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Really do appreciate everything that you've shared. Thanks so much, Chris.
Okay, it's a pleasure, Alida. Thank you too.